Hello people, it's Sam here from Our Garden Studios. This is a build video to show you how I built my garden oasis. I called it the Garden Well Nest, being Our Garden Studios a nest, and it's my little nest in my garden where I look after myself and my wellness. We've got some exciting projects coming up, so subscribe to this channel, and without further ado, let's get into it. We have decided to dig out my garden a little bit just because it's on a slight hill and I wanted the building to sit as low as possible. For the foundations, we're using a ground screw system and using 1 meter ground screws. Before putting these in, I've worked out where the joins in my base are going to be, and I've then put the ground screws underneath the joints to support them. We then lay a weed membrane and then start to put the base down. The structure of this building are made from structurally insulated panels, also known as SIPs. They're really quick to install and they're great at keeping the heat in, which is perfect for this project. So once the walls are up, we then put timber around the top edge of the SIPs. We then put furring pieces on the side and a 6x2 header above the doors and screw down the roof. We then wrap the building in breathable membrane and install an EPDM rubber roof, which means we are now watertight. For this project, I've decided to give a roof overhang and walls and decking to match. We are now installing the doors properly, making sure everything is level and installing the glass. Lewis is cladding the exterior walls while I prepare the front of the building for cladding. We then both move on to cladding the front of the building and the side return walls. We are cladding this with Southern Red Grandis, which is a beautiful hardwood. So I've decided to have spotlights in the overhang of the roof, so we framed down to give us a void for the spotlights and then clad the underside with the cladding. We are then installing our front fascia pieces along the roof line, the walls and underneath the decking. And with all the cladding on the outside, it's really starting to take shape. We are oiling the cladding with Osmo 420 clear satin. This protects it from the sun and enhances the colour and grain. We're now moving inside and building the dividing wall to separate the sauna and the plunge pool using SIPs. I have now prepared the area being tiled with tile backerboard. On the walls you can just use screws and washers. On the floor I've used tile adhesive and screws and washers. This prevents any popping of the tiles or any cracks in the grout lines. I made a slight fall on the floor and installed a channel drainage system. We then tiled this area with porcelain tiles. So with the tiling done, we're now moving on to the sauna. First, you start by installing this foil sheeting. I'm stapling it up and then using foil tape to tape over any joins in any of my staples. I'm now screwing 2x1 battens to the wall for the cladding to be fixed to. As I've got a slight fall on the ceiling, I then put reverse furrings on the ceiling to give me a level ceiling, which is very important in a sauna. I then batten over these and it's ready for cladding. I then move on to building framework for the window and door at the front of my sauna. I think it's worth saying that you can't just use normal wood. This is special wood that hasn't been treated, so no chemicals will come out into the air when the sauna's on. I now start cladding the inside of the sauna. The cladding choice that I went for is Thermo Aspen, and it's a beautiful wood, and I think this is my favourite part of the job. I'm nailing it up with my Paslo gun and using stainless steel pins. So with the cladding done, I now move on to the sauna benches. The sauna's really taking shape now with the stove mounted and the LEDs wired up. I'm now ripping down some offcuts of cladding to create a trim for where the ceiling meets the walls. I definitely should be wearing goggles right now and would advise that. I get styes in my eyes through this dust, so I'm always wearing goggles now. I've cored a 4-inch hole up high for the extraction, and then my intake comes from low under the door. I'm now building a speaker box from the offcuts of wood and installing the speaker. I also installed a speaker in the ceiling in the plunge pool area. And that's the sauna finished. So now moving into the plunge pool and changing area, I'm putting furans on the ceiling to give me that level ceiling and then wiring in an LED strip. So now moving on to the plunge pool itself, this is a 2-seater fiberglass tub from a company called OmniTub. It's 1.1 meters squared and 1.1 meters deep. I'm now building the framework at a 3x2 timber to house the plunge pool. So before I run out of space, I decided to board the ceiling with moisture resistant plasterboard. I then jump back onto the plunge pool framing and start the steps. As you can see here, my little red dog, Oasis, likes following me around whilst I'm working. With the framework done and the plunge pool in with the waste connected, I then board the steps and around the plunge pool with 12mm tile backer board. I then tape and join the ceiling, going over all the screws and any joins where the plasterboards meet. Now it's onto the cupboard for the housing of all the electrics. I have leftover materials from the sauna, so I use the same wood and then connect it all together using Lamello Clamex so all the fixings are hidden. So this system is a biscuit join where the 2 halves of the biscuit screw into the wood and then one side of the biscuit interlocks into the other to give a strong connection. And that's the cupboard finished. So now the final job, painting the ceiling. I'm using water resistant anti-mold paint and I've done 3 coats. Right, so I'm draining the plunge pool now, but instead of wasting the water, I'm recycling it and jet washing my patio. So this is it draining. I've been on holiday for a couple of weeks, so the water's gone manky. And I've got the hose linked up. This is where I keep my filter and my pump. The pump is here, which is connected to the waste for the plunge pool. Here's my filtration system. I've got this off at the moment because I've just got back, so I'm cleaning the water out. And yeah, the water pumps out the back of the plunge pool into the hose pipe that I've got connected here. Here's my dog with his favourite toy. And then, yeah, the hose pipe comes down to my jet wash. And we're now reusing all of that water from the plunge and jet washing the patio. And it also means I stay on top of it. So every 3-4 weeks, my patio gets a jet wash. So today is the pregnant missus. But yeah, that's how we reuse the water. So here we have it, the finished project. From visualising to drawing into CAD and then building and now enjoying and using the space. I couldn't be happy with how this has come out. It's extremely satisfying and I'm very proud of it. So this is my daily trip to my garden well nest. I feel extremely lucky to have something like this in my garden. So I'll stick on my tunes or sometimes a podcast and then get into the sauna. I generally do 20 minutes in the sauna at 90 degrees Celsius. If I'm feeling brave, sometimes a little longer, but it's just my time to reflect, chill out and sweat out all the toxins. Then it's time to revitalise and get into the plunge. So I have the plunge set at 8 degrees Celsius. It can go down to 1 or 2, but 8 degrees is cold enough for me. And this has really helped with muscle recovery, especially in my legs. It's also built mental resilience, and the euphoric feeling when you get out is second to none. From using the sauna and plunge regularly, I've noticed I'm a lot less stressed, I'm getting a better quality of sleep. I've also noticed clearer skin on my face. So this is definitely helping my life for the better. If you're interested in having one built, then head over to our website, ourgardenstudios.com. And I'm going to be building more cool ideas, so if you have any ideas, drop them in the comments. And if you could subscribe to this channel, it would be massively appreciated. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.